Hello, Knights of NE and NI. I'm back today with just some couple of random thoughts, and it's always kind of scary doing a video because I never really know where it's gonna go. I always have like two or three loose points that I really want to talk about, but like my brain is so scattered that I can't really nail anything down until it's actually in progress. And that's one reason why I feel much more comfortable writing, because you can really like take your time to articulate what you're trying to say in a very coherent way, as opposed to when you're just throwing it out there on video. But anyways, I am feeling pretty calm lately. I've been doing keto again for a while, um, which has like a very calming effect on my brain and my overall like energy. So it helps me to stay a little bit more focused and in the present and not just like racing all over the place. But anyways, so and if you hear like a rattling noise, I'm in my bathroom and we've been having terrible weather for like a month. It's been either snowing or raining or both, and windy and awful. That's pretty much spring in Minnesota. It's like after a long winter of crap, we get blessed with a wet, gross, cold spring. But anyways, so I wanted to make like a super personal video about um what these past couple years has been like, and then kind of tie it back into like typology and touch on the Enneagram a little bit, and I guess just give an example of how it can be actually really quite practical. I know a lot of people kind of like chide, on the one extreme, people are like, it's all pseudoscience, it's basically astrology, or whatever. And then there's, on the other extreme, there's people who get super, super into it, like me. But if you're stubbornly against going to therapy, like I am, and you've had a ton of trauma in your life, like I have, um, you know what? It's a legitimate tool for self-growth. So that's why I believe in it, really. But I had a very intense dream last night about my daughter Shiloh, who passed away suddenly a little over 2 years ago. And people always want to know how or why. I think like a little bit of curiosity is normal. And she died of a sudden cardiac arrest. There were really no warning signs. I mean, she had had a heart murmur, but we got that checked out with specialists multiple times, and they said it was fine. And then one night she was just running around playing and just dropped. And obviously we rushed her to the ER, and they tried really hard to revive her, but they couldn't. They couldn't bring her back, and it was probably like the worst thing that could have happened to me. Um, she was my child. We were extremely close. She was a very special child. I was a stay-at-home mom. Like, we were always together, and we just shared a really special bond. And yeah, and so the dream last night, I had a dream that she was all of a sudden back alive. And upon waking, I had kind of like this deja vu moment, because I don't always remember my dreams, but I know they're locked in my consciousness, right? Even if it's not always readily accessible. But I realized that I have had this dream quite a few times, and I think it's just my brain trying to make sense of what happened, because one of the really difficult aspects of losing a child is like they're so, at least in Shiloh's case, it wasn't like there was an extended illness. It was just like she was so healthy and vibrant and alive. And for her to just be taken from us so suddenly was so unbelievably jarring that it is difficult to put into words how the human mind struggles to cope with having, a loved one, a child who has been a huge part of your life and was incredibly alive and vibrant and should have had like many, many years ahead of them, how they can just suddenly be taken from you. And I've had a lot of dreams, probably of fears and emotions that I've tried to suppress, running wild at night in my dreams, where I know I'm struggling to make sense logically of how is my child gone. And so in my dream, she was just suddenly back alive. And it's like, this is kind of funny because one of the huge ways that I've coped is in taking comfort in other people's near-death experiences. Like there's a lot online, and it's been comforting to me beyond words to know these people who died and were revived, that their experience very much continues after death. And so in the dream, I'm like, obviously, like I'm hugging Shiloh and I'm holding her, but I'm like, Shiloh, I'm trying to like, what has your experience been all this time that you've been gone? Because like as a mother, obviously I want to know. And as a human being, there's a curiosity of what is, heaven really like. But everyone else around me and the family members were like, they kept turning on like TVs and electronics, and like, I'm like, can you turn it down? Like, let the kid talk. Like, it was just this frustration. And um, I woke up and I felt just, I don't know, I felt okay about it. Like I've come really, really far in making peace with what's happened. And a huge part of that is that I do believe in heaven. And thankfully, I got so many signs that Shiloh was going there and wanted to go there. It was her choice. She didn't want to come back, and that's why she didn't. I mean, I've written about this a lot, but she was telling me repeatedly in the month or so before she died that she wanted to die and go to heaven, that she wanted to be 7 forever. And she was getting very introspective and spending a lot of time alone in her room. And I think it was some sort of transition in her spirit, and that gives me like so much comfort. Because obviously the way I felt was like my baby was ripped away from me. But I've been able to make peace with the fact that that wasn't the case, that there was this sense of fate and destiny, that she had her time here, left the impression that she was supposed to leave, and then got to go home. And um, you know, on a little side note, you know, learning voltology, it made me feel really close to her when I found out that I was in the Delta Quadrant, because she was such a little ENFP, just this little magical fairy child. And knowing that I'm in the same quadrant using the same functions, like I feel like in some way I'm like carrying on her spirit a little bit. And she was just so optimistic and such like um, she carried a light in her. Yeah, so in treasuring like who she was, um it's just helped me to feel closer to her, because like other people, you know, told me that she was a lot like me and I just never saw it. But now I can. So I try to be very optimistic and loving and accepting the way that she was. Guys, I didn't think this was gonna get so emotional, but anyways, I don't even know where to take it from here. But yeah, I mean, after losing her and going to a really, really dark place, and I mean, there was other really negative things that happened in my life, that I really don't want to go into detail, but it was definitely a trial by fire experience where I made a lot of mistakes, just being really dumb and reactive and impulsive, and learning about, you know, myself and some of the weaknesses I have, and how it can contribute to negative interpersonal situations. And gosh, one of them definitely being boundaries. And, you know, an interesting conversation came up in my Discord chat, CT, it's awesome, about the Enneagram. And this one lady, she goes by the name Animal, and her husband goes by Ivory, and they have their own like Enneagram thing that they do. She's very outgoing, she's a very giving person, and she offered to like look at some of my stuff because they type by like pictures and videos and stuff, and she got back to me and she was like, oh yeah, you're definitely a 9. And I was like, yeah, I feel like that really makes sense. And from there they were talking a lot about 9 characteristics and how it is part of the gut triad with 8s and 1s. And with 8s, they just naturally take up space, right? They're just naturally very assertive. And with 1s, they're like trying to take up space in the correct way, right? And then with 9s, it's like we're trying to find our place in the world to take up space. But still, because we're a gut type, we have strong, like visceral emotions and impulses and reactions to things. And one of like, I mean, I associate this with 9 and also a little bit with FI, but we just really, really do not want to be imposed on. And one of my biggest pet peeves is people like imposing or being overbearing on other people. Like, that is probably my biggest pet peeve. I am like, this is my space. And though I'm pretty open, I have my core values, my core beliefs, and I'm really not cool with people insulting them. And I won't insult other people. Like, I'm like, look, you know, you do your thing, it's cool, I'll accept you, but don't come like treading on my space. Like, don't tread on me. It's kind of that like libertarian mindset. And oddly enough, I am pretty libertarian. I'm totally of the mind like, if you don't want to buckle your seatbelt, don't buckle your seatbelt. If you want to do drugs, go ahead. I'm like, you know what? People should be in charge of their own life as long as it's not directly hurting other people. I think that people should be as free as possible. And maybe that's just my my 9 thing coming out, just this don't tread on me thing. And like, I do hate confrontations, but if I see someone just being a complete dick or bullying someone else, I will get extremely feisty because that is just so not cool with me. And I guess I would relate that internal conflict with something I associate with. I had another interesting conversation. This is how so many of my little rabbit trails start, but someone reached out to me who is an NEFI and very similar to me, like psychologically. And we were talking about how in the past we just haven't seen red flags about people. And we like, I think FI can almost like project its goodwill on other people and see the best in people. And maybe that's also like a Delta thing to some extent. But I know for me, if I'm like down in the dumps or whatever, if I'm really struggling with my self-worth or whatever, and someone comes along and they believe in me and they take some time to invest in me, like, that means so much to me. That's like everything. And sometimes, like, I know I just need that little nudge to like get up and restore my faith in life and myself again. So that's very much how I approach other people. I in the past and probably across my whole life, I've been really drawn to people who seem a little downcast, who seem like they need some encouragement, they need someone to believe in them. And sometimes, like, it is really just as simple as that. And other times you find yourself stumbling into quite a mess. And I mean, I've seen this situation repeat in my life multiple times, where if you are a very like loving, affirming person, or that's what you try to be, you try to put out into the world, sometimes that can attract people who have some darker psychology. I'm not gonna like throw out labels, but people who have maybe an unordinarily high hunger for validation. And if they think that you can give what they desperately need to them, they will try to make you into their source. And that can get all kinds of messy. That's happened to me multiple times. And it's also quite a common theme with the INFJs, like the empaths, getting involved with narcissists. And I'm like, I'm not going to try to diagnose like everyone that I've tangled with, we'll just say in my past, but you can feel it. You can feel it. Like I like to freely give out affirmation and compliments to people and little boosts, like fill people's buckets, right? I love that. But you can kind of start to feel that like, inside of you when you sense someone is like latching onto you to get something from you, like a sucker fish. Like in my mind, it's like you're just trying to swim along and all of a sudden you got like little sucker fish trying to like latch onto you and like bleed the life out of you. And I'm usually too nice to be direct with people. So in the past, I've kind of like indirectly sabotaged things and have had it blow up in my face, because these types of people who are very empty inside, they, in my experience, they can and they will turn on you in an instant. And if you turn into, if you're not a good supply, it becomes this thing of, I will destroy you. And I have personally experienced that. And actually, like, the fallout was so incredibly painful and damaging that I, you know, at different times I'm like, I need to change who I am. Like, I need to be more cautious, more discerning, more guarded, because I just can't keep going through this this experience of like people not getting what they want from me and then just turning on me and being vicious. And I'm like, I don't know. And this kind of goes back to being a Sealy FI user, and why certain FI users throughout the course of their life, they get more closed off and unseelie. And I eventually kind of came around to this place of like, no, like, I don't want to be closed off. And I want to put all those good vibes out into the world, because that is so meaningful to me. And you know what? If it attracts some wrong people, I'll just listen to my gut and just kind of like put up a wall, but I'm not going to stop being who I am. I'm not going to stop wanting to see the best in people, wanting to encourage people. And I'm not going to let the negative opinions of others rain on my parade. Not anymore. And I'm not going to let them tread on me. So I'm just going to do my own thing and be my happy self. And yeah. So I guess that was a whole lot of rambling for you guys today. If you've gotten through this far, you are a champ. And thank you for coming along with me on the journey, guys. I appreciate you. Bye.